Thank you for coming tonight and supporting this work in progress. It's a short monologue right now, and in a reading from some material that may or may not be integrated in the monologue. I didn't think there'd be a new monologue. I'm not sure that there is. I had settled down into domesticity and turned 60. And when I turned 60, there was no big celebration, just a family gathering. NPR did announce it. I was happy to hear. Gareth Keeler did not. We're not exactly on the best of terms. I gave a bad review to one of his books, and my girlfriend, I opened it with saying my girlfriend Renee at the time. My girlfriend Renee said, "Turn that Prairie Home Companion off or I'll throw the radio out the window." So that was the opening of the review. No party, just a birthday dinner at home. Forrest, my 8-year-old then, 8 years old, said, "Hey Dad, remember how much fun it was having a birthday before you found out you were going to die?" My wife Kathy, well actually we're not married. We're married when it's convenient. We just say that we're married. If we say we're going to go to a party tonight, and shall we be married? Gave us, the whole family, a trip to Ireland. Now, she's got some crazy trips. She gave us one to the Ice Palace, Ice Hotel up in Quebec City, where you pay $300 a piece to sleep on a block of ice. And this trip to Ireland was not unlike that. And I'd been 6 times before, and I liked the country. We had rainy times, but good times. And in spite of the rain, it was a jolly place. I remember Kathy and I riding bikes and in the rain, and coming upon this Irishman leaning against his bike and saying, "Oh, this is just foul weather." And he said, "No, it's not. It hasn't gotten cold yet." And so it's a philosophical country. It's never had an industrial revolution, so its relationship to machinery is very tenuous, particularly cars. And it's a whimsical relationship. They get cars and they just go. So we were invited to John Scanlon's house. He's a publicist, a big one, was a big one in all senses of the word, was publicist for Bill Clinton during the Monica Lewinsky ordeal. And he invited us to his Irish estate on 12 acres of land, and a big manor it was. And so he died just 2 weeks before we were supposed to go. He perished in front of the TV. So his wife said, "Come on over anyway." John would have loved that. So over we went, about 15 of us, 5 children, the rest adults. And we arrived, and I have to tell you immediately that the place looked a little like The Shining. It was in 12 acres of fields and woods that looked like Harry Potter. It was, the kids went running in the fields knowing they wouldn't get deer ticks. They just celebrated it. And the only thing that was disconcerting or kind of an omen was it was in the town of Mort. And I didn't like that. And the longest day of the year, or the county of Offaly it was too. We arrived the longest day of the year, and has celebrated with a treasure hunt. And the following morning, when I woke up, Barbara Leary was down in the kitchen, and I was talking with her. Barbara Leary was the ex-wife of Timothy Leary, and she was one of the guests there. And she said that she dreamt that I had a new monologue. And I said, "No, there was nothing on the table, really. Nothing new." And so off we went to a monastery on a river, one of the monasteries where the Vikings used to come up upstream and burn the books. And it was very old. And a funeral. There's another harbinger. There was a funeral going on. Well, not a funeral, but the grave diggers were digging a couple of fresh graves near the monastery. and taking a cigarette break they were. And it was very funereal. Then, going home, they had the funeral announcements on the radio. I'd never heard them. It must have been about 16 deaths. Every one of them had put up a courageous struggle, had led an exemplary life, never had a bad word to say about anybody. The announcer read in a monotone with no inflection at all, pausing about 4 or 5 seconds between each name, and then talked about the removal time. It was Saturday at 4:30 or whatever, the body was going to be removed. So I got home and took a very long walk, not knowing that it would be the last long walk I would ever take in my life. It was about 6 miles. And at the end of it, I saw this sick calf that couldn't stand up. It was like it had, had arthritis or something in its joints. It was in terrific pain. And I told the farmer he really ought to call a vet. And he said, I'll be doing that then. Good luck to you. So having thought I saved the calf in some way, I don't know, or they're going to kill it, we went out to dinner. And it was John Scanlon's favorite restaurant. And I have to say, it wasn't that good. My duck was dry. What did we talk about? We talked about Robert Hughes, the art critic, and how he'd had a car accident in Australia, of all places, and it was serious and horrible to be in a foreign country to have to deal with something like that. And then we chose the designated driver to drive. It was Kathy, my wife, and everyone else she just had one glass of wine. She said, buckle up. Well, I didn't hear her. We were in the back seat. I didn't pay attention to her. She says it's because I don't listen. Tara Newman said, yes, Mom, and didn't. And Barbara Leary was in the back with me. Kim, Barbara's boyfriend, and Kathy were in the front seats, and I think they were pretty strapped in. And 1 mile from the mansion, and they say these things happen a mile from the destination often. That's why my friend Donald says he drives like crazy to get out of the zone. 1 mile from the mansion, I look up, and there is in Kathy's window a van hurtling toward us. Now, it looked like a video game to me. Headlights on, it was dusk, it was green and yellow, and it was just incomprehensible that we were stopped. We were going to turn right. And it was a fork in the road. It was a country road. No divisions, really. And this guy was on the wrong side or in the middle of the road, but he was hurtling for us. And then there was this enormous crash, like I have never experienced before. And our car spun around 3 times, went out. The engine came into the cabin, burned Kathy's arm. She gets out. Tara Newman says, the car's going to catch on fire. Everyone get out, everyone get out. Kathy's out, lying on the ground saying, I'm dying, I'm dying. In solace that I am, I'm saying, but I can't straighten my leg. And the police arrive. The ambulance is not coming for an hour. The police arrive. Tara Newman's got someone down there helping sop blood off my face. There's cow medicine everywhere from the van. It was a veterinarian, probably up taking care of that calf. I think the sick calf just up the road. And the police arrive, and they do no breathalyzer tests. They say they don't like to get involved on that level. They don't even test the man driving the van. And I want to say, you fucking asshole, you've ruined our vacation, but I don't say it. I don't say anything to him, and I'm in the ambulance with him. The ambulance takes an hour to arrive. It arrives like a World War II bread truck, all rattly. The woman next to me is sopping blood off my face and saying that it's a black spot where we are, that her son, 9 years old, was killed in that very area on that turn just a year ago. Now, they get me in the ambulance with the asshole and the veterinarian, and I am in such pain, I don't say anything to him. I'm feeling guilty about something, because I didn't have my seatbelt on. Of course, I'm feeling that it's my fault entirely. And Kathy is in another ambulance, and we get to the hospital, and they're all Pakistani doctors. Now, what I had against them was they didn't have that bedside manner that the Irish had. They didn't know how to chat you down. They were very efficient. They stuck a catheter in me, and that jacked up my pain level a little bit. But they didn't have a good bedside manner. They looked right through the women. They wouldn't talk with Kathy. She wanted them to do an MRI of my head because I had hit her head and had this big bump here, and she had 14 stitches in the back of her head. And they wouldn't do it. They said that they wouldn't do it, and that was simply that, and they had a fight. And then they said that I had broken my acetabulum, that I had broken my hip, and that I had to be in traction in that hospital for 6 weeks, which I did not want to do under any conditions, because that hospital was, well, it was a country hospital, and it was, well, they put me in a dormitory with 5 men, and all of them on their cell phones boasting about their accidents. I don't know, they were all in there for various accidents. And cell phones are going off. It's the biggest rage in Ireland now. Everyone has a cell phone, like New York City. And they're carrying on. The cell phones are falling on the floor. No toothbrush, no pajamas. Kathy says that they tell her she has to bring her own. She's upstairs with bruised heart muscles around her heart, and the nurse has got a piece of paper on her chest taking notes. And Kathy goes, "But where's your clipboard?" She said, "Well, we don't have one." So she's painfully taking notes on Kathy's chest. There's no orthopedic doctor. He's away for the weekend. So they strap my foot up. They shoot me up with morphine. And I feel like I'm in the Civil War. I think that I'm in the Civil War, Battle of Antietam. I'm delirious in the night, thinking all these other victims around me have been shot, or they've been fighting or something. I don't know. It's just a nightmare. Outside the window, crows are cawing, and magpies and cows are mooing. And so the next morning is Sunday morning, and the priest comes through with the Holy Eucharist. And I take communion, my first. I said, well, why not, I think. Then a cross-dresser comes. So it looks like he's out of a Fellini movie. I swear, he had long green fingernails. And serving toast and tea. Toast, tea, toast. Next, a woman comes through with a clipboard. They found one. And she's taking a survey. Do I want the hospital to be smoke-free? Next, the relatives arrive with blenders. And they start making daiquiris and margaritas at noon. And watching TV. They're watching the car races on TV, 100 and odd miles an hour. And I have the curtain pulled on my bed because I feel a big caboose coming on. I've been constipated for 2 days. And the nurse gets the bedpan. I was just amazed. I'd never been treated like that before. That she didn't have any problems delivering my caboose. It came out like a long brown snake at the oddest angle. And then they opened the curtains, and all the Irish are staring at me because I took out my notebook to write about it. And they're eating lunch. Oh, another James Joyce have we here. We'll leave it to a Yank to take a shit while we're eating dinner and then write about it. So I was making notes in my journal. That was the way I was trying to stay sane. And Tara Newman brings the kids. Tara is in good shape. She was saved by her Prada bag. It hit the ceiling. Everyone's in good shape except Kathy and myself. And I took the brunt of it. I don't know why. I just got bashed from the back seat and flew around the car, I guess. I was like a flying object there for a while and ruined my... Anyway, Tara brings the 2 kids and my 2 sons. And Theo says, "Why didn't you wear your seatbelt, Dad?" And I didn't know what to say. He said, now you're the real monster, looking at my cuts. And Tara looks around the place and goes, oh my God, takes one look at the hospital and goes, we did die in the accident. My stepdaughter Marissa is there. She's off to the States to visit her father, and so she's leaving and writes me a note saying, I hope you get better. When you get back to the States, I will nurse you. I know that's your fantasy. Kathy gets a hold of the Irish Arts Council somehow, and on the telephone, and Patrick Murphy, head of the Irish Arts Council, transfers me. He transfers me to a more Irish hospital, not run by Pakistani doctors, and outside Dublin, Tullamore. Now, the doctor there, the first thing that happened, the doctor there is John McElwain, and he's famous for putting together a guy that was hang gliding in the Wicklow Hills and crashed, and he was really in bad shape, and he reassembled him. Now, I arrive, and I'm very claustrophobic because they put me in another dormitory situation, which I can't stand because I'm not close to the window. And I'm pleading for a single room. And they say there are none. So, but I'm befriended by Nicholas Dillon, who's next to me. And Nicholas is, well, he was a PR agent for a train station, and a train backed over him. So he's got a missing leg from the knee down. He didn't even hear the train. It's a wonder he wasn't killed. And he's got a drop foot on the other leg. Now, that's what I've got, and it sounds like a nothing deal, but it really is like a paralyzed foot because the sciatic nerve has been damaged from the hip breaks, and so I have to wear this brace here for everything. No more ice skating, no more rollerblading, no more long hikes. And so Nicholas has the same thing, and we befriend each other. And but they moved me because I'm complaining so much to a single room. And he says, "Oh, you'll be missed here." And out I go. And they put me in this room with a view of a dead tree, and it's an air shaft. But it's a single room, and that means I don't have to listen to the TVs. And I don't have a TV. And Dr. John McElwain's going to do this operation the following day. I'm going to put a titanium plate in to reinforce my acetabulum. And it's only under $1,000. It's a great deal for an operation like that. It has to cut me wide open and go into my hip. In the morning of the operation, we're taking you to the theater today, Mr. Gray. And the anesthesiologist is talking me down about the glorious wars. He's telling me that that's how the Greys got from Scotland to Ireland. So he's trying to calm me down, unlike the NYU anesthesiologist, the one in New York Hospital who asked me if I had any contacts at NYU Film School for his son. The morphine drip was wonderful. That was every 6 minutes you could punch this. I understood addiction. I was punching it as often as I could. With the right CDs and a view of the Wicklow Hills, you wouldn't be wanting to leave the hospital if you were on this. I just understand that you wouldn't be needing anything. I mean, I heard the Grateful Dead on my stereo Walkman and became a deadhead. It was like a colorful ball of light with spikes coming out of it. The music was creating this ball, and they played Light a Shade of Gray, We Will Survive. And but after that morphine, the depression set in. And I didn't know whether to discuss it with the Irish. I didn't know if they acknowledge the condition or recognize it, like a fish swimming in water. I mean, I did a monologue there called It's a Slippery Slope, which was somewhat about depression, divorce, and skiing, and it didn't go over too well. Well, so I thought that I would say that I was blue instead of depressed. So, and why would you be blue, Mr. Gray? Well, I got a titanium plate in me I didn't have in me yesterday. And it's, I feel like the bionic man, for God's sake. Oh, an Irishman wouldn't give it a second thought. He'd just go about his business. You Americans are too health conscious. Now, she's the same one that caught me eating spinach out of a plastic bag. Kathy brought it over because there was no salads, And she said, oh, eating raw spinach, are you? Now I've seen everything. No spinach salad? So she's the one that wanted to know if she found out I was an actor and she wanted to know if I was in any scary movies. I said, no, not really. No, not The Exorcist? No. I was in The Killing Fields and Beaches. Maybe you saw Beaches. Oh, yes, what'd you play? The doctor? Oh, sure enough you did. What's Bette Midler really like? Oh, she's like herself, really. Oh, no, come by Gory, tell me a story about her. Well, it was only the kissing story that I remember, because she wouldn't want to kiss me. She was nervous about kissing me, and then finally we did it. She was afraid I would kiss and tell, Finally we did it, and she said, now don't go telling the Worcester group I kissed like Hitler. I visit Nicholas. He's on about the televisions in the room and how it's diffused storytelling in Ireland because there's no more conversation in bars, just the TVs and people watching Judge Judy, Ricky Lake, Survivor dubbed in Gaelic. Kathy insists that I rent a TV, and I do because she says I should watch Wimbledon. But I find it impossible to watch something I can't play anymore because of my foot. So to see them out there batting around, running, it's just too much. I did watch The Simpsons, though, because, that was a little hopeful, I guess. I don't know. It's just, the drop foot is just numb. And the only other person I know that has one is my friend Mark, who lives out in Aspen, Colorado. And he had an accident where he ended up in a tree for a night, in a Jeep accident, and he ended up with a dropped foot and was in and out of the hospital. He claims that the only way I can get fixed up is to come west. The East Coast doesn't know about dropped feet. And come to Santa Fe, where he has a healer called Betty and the Angels. And Mark's not really far out, but Betty said to put all his money into 20s and bury it. And he did, and just to drink Campbell's celery soup, and he did that. But I don't know about going to Santa Fe for the drop foot. No one seems to know what to do about it. It's a sciatic nerve problem. The first outing was at a construction site, and Kathy took me out to in a wheelchair, and outside it was just depressing, but beautiful for me because I saw some sky and clouds for the first time after about 2 weeks in that hospital. And coming back, I was honored by The Simpsons because we had it on, and Marge was off camera, and Homer was in the bathtub with a couple of beers, and Marge was saying, Homer, come quick! The Reynolds are here, and they have 2 extra tickets to see Spalding Gray. And Homer goes, I don't want to see that. So the next day I was a little depressed. I was down. And depressed again, are you, Mr. Gray? We'll be taking you to the spinal ward. There you'll see something to undepress you. I visit Nicholas and his wife, Dymphia, the patron saint of the insane. She was one of 12 kids. And actually, he comes down to see me in his wheelchair, talking about George Bush. What a dud. How could America, an intelligent country, elect such a president? Not a litigious society, Ireland is not. Oh, no. Did you hear about the ship that sank off the coast of America? Oh, the sharks left the lawyers alone out of professional courtesy. Well, I did see a lawyer, Bruce St. John, It was Nicholas's lawyer. And he came into the hospital for no charge, so I thought I'd talk with him. He looked like a Dickens character, all disheveled, quoting Oscar Wilde, and misspelled his own name on the business card. Was white out to correct it. And wrote in some law degrees in pen in the end of the card. Kathy had lunch with another lawyer and said, no, just stay clear of him. He's a little cuckoo. Back in the room, we play Scrabble. I can't do a very good job because I'm so dyslexic. Forrest is playing with his crash cards, Theo cars. Theo is there, and Kathy looks up and sees this big dent on my forehead where the bump was. And she said, my God, you've got a dent. I could stick my finger in there. Oh, my God, don't tell me. Call a doctor. The doctor comes and says, sure enough, it's a dent. Well, I said the Pakistani doctors didn't MRI me. I mean, why not when I had a big bump there? Well, I don't know, but we can't deal with the dents here at this hospital. We're just dealing with the hip. We'll have to send you to another hospital. So they send me to St. James Hospital. And think, not another hospital. I fear 5,000 people die a year from conditions they didn't come into the hospital with, that Nicholas is telling me, or frightening me with this news. Long line of people and accidents outside the hospital door. Carmel is there, my nurse. She's trained to stand 12 hours at a time. She gives me her sweater, and she's completely like a saint. I said, Carmel, aren't you afraid of anything? Aren't you afraid of dying? No, but you're a Catholic, right? Oh, sometimes. I don't believe in the abortion issue. Ah, well, you have a priest by you when you die. No, not necessarily, because the only sin is hurting someone, and I never hurt anyone, so I'm not worried about dying. Oh, you never hurt anyone? Oh, my goodness. As I look up at her, all accepting eyes, non-judgmental. Carmel. Forrest is there, too, supporting me with his litany of, how old is Forrest now? I guess he's probably 8 or 9, and he's 8, and he's telling me about how a deer fly can fly faster than a cheetah, how many spots are on a ladybug's back, and how Venice is going to sink 8 inches by the time he's 58. They take me in for an MRI. There's blood all over the floor. There'd been a horrible accident where a man and his 2 kids were killed, and then they didn't even had time to clean up the blood, so they shuffled me in there. And then the doctors afterwards come out, and they look like a 7th grade geography book. They're just from every part of the world except Ireland, which I don't know why that bothers me, but it does, because they don't have the same familiar gift for the gab. They're all, well, there's an Eskimo, there's an African, there's a Pakistani, there's an Indian, a South African, and they're all conferring as to what should happen to me, because they say I have to have an operation. There's an open passage to my brain, and all sorts of germs can get up and through there. So they start to in on me. Well, he can fly to America. You have the operation there. Oh, no, he can't. No, he cannot fly. Oh, yes, he can fly. Oh, no. Oh, yes. Oh, no. Oh, back and forth like this, conferring. And finally they say, I can fly. I can fly back to America. It's a pity you came so far just to crash in a car. I hope you don't hold it against us, says the Irish nurse. I hope it doesn't affect the way you look at Ireland. Back in New York, the flight home, the boys were very good. They took care of each other, and coach, well, Kathy and I rode in first class. I had to get my leg up. And on crutches, and Forrest is a stoic. I remember that ride in the rain in Martha's Vineyard, that bike ride. It was similar to Ireland. It was raining. Oh, my God, was it raining. For 2 hours, I think we rode in the rain, and at the end, all he said was, well, I hope I don't get crotch rot. We fly over Block Island, we fly over Sag Harbor. In New York, Kathy and I have sex for the first time in 3 weeks. I wanted to sneak in the bathroom of the hospital in Ireland, but it didn't work. When I wake up and lie in bed, I think about the coincidence and fate. What if I had left my glasses in the restaurant or my wallet and had just gone back there, you know? And for 2 minutes, how would that, I mean, how many accidents had I narrowly missed because of forgetfulness, I wonder? And what does it mean that the driver of the van was named Daniel Murphy? And the guy that sold our house in Sag Harbor, which was another disaster, was named Daniel Murphy. And the head of the Irish Arts Council, Patrick Murphy. Was I in the grip of some overwhelming form of Murphy's Law? I was really feeling it. I go to New York Hospital. Andy Warhol died there under dubious circumstances. Carlos, my Sag Harbor neighbor, died there of pneumonia. Carlos was Theo's oldest buddy, and Theo was his youngest friend. The day before Carlos went into the hospital, he left a pile of kindling for me in my driveway. He's always telling jokes. I don't remember them very well. The only one I remember is a skeleton walked into a bar, ordered a glass of beer and a mop. The night before the operation, I think about death. What if I die? How would the kids react? The only death in our family was Thumper, the dwarf rabbit. Kathy found him, and his eyes were still open. Sprawled out dead. She thought he might be faking because the doctor said he was such a clever bunny. Then she let out with a yell. Forrest heard it upstairs and came running down, thinking that it was I that had died. It was me, his dad. And he said, no, it's Thumper the rabbit. He said, oh, and when I heard that, I kept asking Forrest, well, what did you think when you thought I had died? And he just shrugged his shoulders. I don't know. In the morning, the orderly takes me down to the operating room, and they're going to cut me from ear to ear. Pull down my... The orderly is from Dublin. The operation lasts 6 hours. They cut me from ear to ear, peel my face down, more titanium plates put in here, hundreds of bone splinters in the brain, sew me up. It looks like I have a facelift. And I have a dream of flying over the Aspen Mountains with Mark. And my crutches are like magic rockets. And land among the skiers and able to ski again. At 4 a.m., the fire alarm wakes me. I call the nurse. She's Irish, Patricia Murphy. Her father was born, of all places, in Tala, where the country hospital was that I first was. Is it a coincidence? I don't know. Is it fate? Webster's Unabridged defines fate as the power supposed to determine the outcome of events before they occur, inevitable necessity. Destiny, depending on a superior cause, uncontrollable according to the Stoics. Every event is determined by fate. Ooh. Even my therapist believes in such things. I wonder if I should trust her. Should I trust her? Now, I don't have much advice to give. I'm a bit of a relativist, even as a father. But I have to say, I can now say, wear your seatbelt in the back seat of a car. I can say that. And I can also say, and only $300 extra to get a platinum card so you can be medevaced the fuck out of a country if you don't like the medical setup, you know. This is called The Anniversary. On the morning of 1/12/2000, I woke with the usual anxious feeling caused by lingering bottom-line memory that one day, never to be known by me until I'm there, that I have come to know myself, will disappear forever and ever. Amen. End of story. Kathy tried to cheer me up by reminding me that today was our 10th anniversary and that we met in Rochester 10 years ago. I don't think Kathy and I made love or had sex that morning because Theo was sleeping with us, and that always diffuses the chance for pure, flat-out erotic events. But on this day, January 12, 2000, I do remember the following. I remember Theo not eating his cereal. Kathy had gone to work, and I was taking care of him. I remember how quickly he got bored with the TV and wanted to play the piano with me. We did that for a while, improvising in our own way. Then he wanted to play the Mummy with me. He had recently seen a video of the Mummy, and a number of times, and was most caught up by the scene in which the central character is being punished for transgressions with the Pharaoh's wife. He is being punished by being placed in a coffin and then wrapped alive like a mummy. Then the soulless Pharaoh's guards turn over a large jar filled with these horrific swarming black beetles. Scarabs, I believe they were. Theo kept referring to them as the bees. And these black beetles or scarabs swarmed towards the man's head and most likely devoured his living brain in a matter of seconds. And this is what my 3-year-old is most interested in having help me reenact. And I get to be the mummy. "Get in the box, Daddy, get in the box," he says. And I lie down on the floor and pretend to be the mummy. For a moment it feels good to be lying still and quiet, and then Theo releases the bees, and I start screaming, to his delight. Theo and I meet Kathy at 11:30 a.m. and walk over to the nursing home on the Lower East Side. It is at this nursing home that Theo's godmother, Freya, has been vegetating for over a year and a half from a series of strokes she had while summering in Africa. It is an unthinkable situation that she has to be thought about, particularly by her daughter, who does not, for so many apparent reasons, does not execute her mother's living will. How could she? Her mother talks and cries and still has a sense of humor. And she is only my age and I am only hers. The first time I brought Theo to see her in the nursing home, his whole being went into a kind of electrified alert. The minute he entered, he was bug-eyed and looking every which way. What is this? This time Theo is calmer and Freya is less aware of him. She can't see and can hardly understand how she has come to wherever it is she is, she's not sure. She is in a obviously horrific Bardo state, somewhere in between living and dying. It's as if she's come alive only for visitors and then returns to some limbo state where time does not exist. When we ask her what she thinks about, she says juice. She always dreams about juice. She loves to drink juice. And I apologize for not bringing some. I will next time, I tell her. We don't stay long. I promise to return soon. On the way out, Kathy says it's awful. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know what to feel. She doesn't deserve this. What did she do to deserve this? I'm amazed that Kathy still seems to believe in some intrinsic justice system, some absolute hierarchical reward program. And at the moment I wonder if she too believed in fate. On the sidewalk outside the nursing home, Kathy suggested that I take Theo to the ride on the carousel in Central Park. "What a great idea," I said. "I'm so glad you thought of that." Theo and I took a cab to 59th Street and 6th Avenue. I couldn't stand to look out the window at the city, so I watched Theo watching the city and never took my eyes off him while the whole trip. Once we got to the park, Theo got very involved with all the natural rock outcroppings. I had never realized there were so many between 59th Street and the carousel. Theo seemed to feel no need to go on the merry-go-round. He was happy climbing on the rocks. But I, who really wanted to get to the carousel before it closed, kept saying, "Come on, Theo, don't you want to ride on the horses?" We arrived in the carousel, and just a few minutes before it was closed, there was a man already slamming down the sliding metal doors. Oh, what a violent sound. We were the only ones in the merry-go-round, and I was going very fast. Theo was on the outside horse, and I was just on the horse just in from him. I looked over at Theo going up and down on the music, and I saw he was very, very happy. He was purely, utterly very happy. There was no room for anything but happiness that filled him. I don't remember who did it first, but it was me. I let out with this yell, a sort of half-performed, half-spontaneously real. In other words, I was quite aware of it coming out of me and how it sounded. And I do know that it was my yell that triggered Theo to just lift his head back and let out with this yelping, joyful cry. It was like out of a movie, only better. His cry just grabbed the whole day by the feet, by the short hairs, and gathered it up. Pure celebration. It was unadulterated happiness. On the ride, That one ride was enough for both of us. And anyway, it was clear they were closing the carousel down. Then, on my way out, Theo spotted the treats. There was a little display of gum and candy at a convenient child level. Right on our way out, Theo seemed to know exactly what he wanted. It was a ring pop, a sort of candy pacifier, a plastic ring with a giant glassy red ruby candy shaped like a Walt Disney diamond. I picked up the ring pop and looked around and couldn't see anyone to pay, so I just dropped it in my pocket. I'd never done anything like that before, at least not often, and I didn't give it a second thought. As we were leaving, the man closing the metal doors turned and said, "What's the candy, mister? What about a candy?" I was then completely taken by surprise. "Oh, this," I said, pulling it out, the ring pop from my pocket. "What do I owe you?" "That's 50 cents. Then he suddenly changed his mind and said, "No, give it back, we're closed now." I watched Theo watch me give the ring pop back to the man. Theo was incredulous, but at the same time seemed confused and intimidated by the power of the situation. What was wrong, he wondered, more than he needed the candy. "Why, Dad? Why did I say that?" "None of us want you to eat too much candy, Theo," I said as I walked briskly up the path, pulling him by the hand. Behind us, the carousel man was making a fist with his hand, yelling after us, "Your son's going to end up in prison one day." At the top of the hill, just before the carousel, I could see the rows of American elms catching the last of the day's light. They were all dark and twisting and casting incredible shadows on the lawn. Should the grass be this green in January, I wondered, as I sat in the Central Park, my favorite place? These trees, these beautiful trees. As soon as I sat down, Theo asked for his bottle, and I pulled it out in my pocket and gave it to him. Then he leaned his head against my body and sucked while he drank. On the way to the subway, every time I saw a cop, I saw the headlines. Monologist and 3-year-old son caught red-handed. Talk your way out of this one, Mr. Spalding. Theo and I took the A train home. On the subway, I tried thinking about the words fate, necessity, and chance. I kept trying to put necessity and the sacred together. I thought also about how I could not imagine living without my children, how I would either have to die or learn to live without them. I thought about my mother and how she couldn't live without us and how she took a more extreme way out. I thought about how none of this would have happened if I had not gone alone to PS 122 to see Avant-Garde-Rama the night of January 1991. There, while watching Frank Meyer perform, I was tapped on the shoulder by Larry Hopper, who just happened to be Kathy Russo's boss at the Pyramid Arts Center. "How would you like to come up and perform your stuff at our space?" he asked me. "Sure, why not?" I said. "There's the first phone number, give me a call." And he did, and I went. And Kathy Russo picked me up at the airport. And this, though nothing can bring back the hour of splendor in the grass, of glory in the flower, we will grieve not, rather find strength in what remains behind. William Wordsworth. And thank you for coming.